For 6 years now, Marvel has been teasing the MCU's main villain, Thanos, the Mad Titan. He made his first appearance in a post-credit scene for the first Avengers movie, and from there, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy and another post-credit scene in Avengers Age of Ultron. For a character who hasn't had much screen time, he has played such an important role in a lot of the events that have occurred in the film so far. Thanos is looking to collect the Infinity Stones, but aside from that, we don't know much about him. He has remained a mystery for so long, but hopefully Avengers Infinity War will fix that. Various people involved with the upcoming film have said that it could be considered Thanos' movie. In this video, I'll be going over his life so far, as well as his quest for the Infinity Stones.
Return to me again empty-handed, and I will bathe the starways in your blood.
Thanos is part of a race of godlike aliens named Titans that inhabited a planet that was also named Titan. He was born with a physical deformity that led to his people shunning him. Not much is known about his early life for the MCU, but his origin in the comics is clearly cut out. In the comics, it was revealed that the name his mother was going to give him was Dione, but when she was holding him, she heard a cold whisper say a name that she had never heard before. The moment she said the name out loud, Thanos, she was driven mad. She equated looking into his eyes with looking into the eyes of death. Out of fear, she picked up a nearby scalpel and attempted to kill him before he could grow any bigger. But Thanos' father had her sedated. While calming down, she said things like, "We're all going to die. Look at that thing. That isn't my son." Surprisingly, he remembered this later in his life and eventually turned the tables on her. Thanos never heard the name his mom intended to call him until he was 12 on the day that he killed her. Thanos originally wanted to grow up to be a scientist just like his father, so that he could perform experiments to find out the reason for his genetic deformity. This is what led him to kill his mother and 16 other people, including some of his classmates. He committed the first known murders on his home planet, and he developed a taste for blood. I think this origin for the Mad Titan would fit well into the MCU, but I'm interested in seeing the direction that they take him in Infinity War. At some point in his life, the Titans were made aware of an impending disaster. Even though he was an outcast among his people, Thanos desperately wanted to save his world before it was too late, but they shrugged his ideas off because they thought that they were too extreme. The disaster struck, and it led to the Titan race becoming nearly extinct, and the planet becoming almost completely uninhabitable. Sometime after this, Thanos gained control of the Chitauri and Outrider armies, and he became one of the most feared warlords in the universe. He killed nearly all of a race of people named Zehobere, and he left only one known survivor named Gamora. He also killed a family part of another race called Lufamoids, but once again he left one survivor named Nebula. He took Gamora and Nebula and raised them to be his personal assassins. He would make the two fight very often, and Gamora always seemed to come out on top.
You were the one who wanted to win, and I just wanted a sister!
Whenever Nebula lost, Thanos would replace a piece of her with machinery.
Thanos pulled my eye from my head, and my brain from my skull.
The only thing Thanos cares about is collecting the Infinity Stones. He believes that the universe is spreading too fast, too quickly, and that this will lead to disaster, maybe similar to the one that struck his home planet. But he has a solution in mind. He wants to erase half the universe.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal: to wipe out half the universe.
And if he collects all 6 of the Infinity Stones and places them in the Infinity Gauntlet, he can do that by just snapping his fingers.
If he gets all the Infinity Stones, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
He's willing to do anything to get the stones and carry out his objective. After some years of acting out his plans for the stones, he got a lead on the location of the orb, which contained the Power Stone. He sent Gamora and Nebula to a place called the Cloud Tombs of Praxeus. Their mission was to retrieve the orb. Nebula ended up leaving Gamora to get the orb first and win Thanos' favor, but things went wrong. The orb was not recovered, and she ended up getting caught in a trap that she could not escape easily by herself. Thanos forbade Gamora from helping Nebula as punishment for her failure, and she was forced to cut her own arm off to escape. This shows how Thanos sees all of his followers, even his children, as dispensable tools, and he has no room for people who cannot get the job done. It's not clear how, but at some point, Thanos came into possession of the Mind Stone. He decided to hide it inside of a scepter, making that scepter able to manipulate minds. As a result of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s experiments with the Tesseract, a follower of Thanos named The Other was made aware of its location, and The Other told him that it was on Earth. They immediately formed a plan to retrieve it, knowing that the Space Stone was inside the Tesseract. Thanos formed an alliance with Loki, and he made him an offer, knowing that Loki was desperate to be a king.
I was a king, the rightful king of Asgard.
Thanos said that he would allow him to rule Earth and humanity, but not until he brought him the Tesseract. Thanos gave Loki everything he needed to conquer Earth, the scepter and the Chitauri army. He had no reason to believe that he would do anything but succeed. Even still, Thanos warned Loki that if he was to fail, he would be forced to endure a new kind of suffering.
There will be no realm, no barren moon, no crevice where he cannot find you.
Thanos, Loki, and the other were all way overconfident in thinking that humanity would not be able to put up a fight. The Chitauri invasion led to the Avengers assembling for the first time. Now Earth had heroes to protect it.
If we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
The Avengers ultimately defeated Loki, captured him, and took the scepter and the Tesseract back. Now 2 Infinity Stones had slipped through Thanos' hands, and he learned that humanity was not as weak as he thought. Even though his plan failed, the thought of a possible challenge put a smile on his face.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe, but this does put a smile on my face.
Sometime after this, Thanos made a deal with his former Kree ally, Ronan the Accuser. In exchange for retrieving the orb for him, Thanos would lend Ronan some of his forces to help carry out the destruction of the planet Xandar. Ronan located the orb on a planet called Morag, but Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, arrived first and escaped with it. From there, Thanos commanded Ronan to hunt Star-Lord down and take the orb back. He sent Gamora with Ronan to help. Gamora found Quill on Xandar, and they fought for the orb until Rocket and Groot joined in, and they were all arrested and sent to the Kiln, a prison that's run by the Nova Corps. This encounter eventually led to the formation of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Gamora and the Guardians recovered the orb, and she proposed the idea of selling it to the Collector, who was also collecting the stones. Gamora betrayed Thanos for all of the years of suffering that he made her and Nebula endure. Ronan was summoned to meet with Thanos to discuss Gamora's betrayal, and it was revealed that she had been planning this for a very long time.
Your sources say that she meant to betray us the whole time!
Ronan began to criticize Thanos, but the other told him it would be best to show Thanos some respect. Because of this, Ronan killed the other. But Thanos did not even blink an eye. He just told Ronan to go back to looking for the orb, and this time he sent Nebula with him. Eventually, Ronan and Nebula took the orb from the Guardians, and Ronan discovered that Thanos had not told him that the Power Stone was inside of it. Ronan took the stone for himself and promised Thanos that after he was finished destroying Xandar, that he was coming for him next.
I'm coming for you.
Seeing an opportunity to have Thanos killed, Nebula aligned herself with Ronan. Thanos was completely unfazed by this and just ended his contact with his former ally. Soon after this, the Guardians killed Ronan during the Battle of Xandar, and they gave the orb to the Nova Corps. Thanos grew frustrated at his lack of success in gathering the stones. Loki and Ronan the Accuser failed him. He had 3 Infinity Stones slip through his fingers, lost 2 of his daughters, and ultimately, he caused 2 of the super teams that will be tasked with fighting him in Infinity War to form. He decided that if he wanted things to be done right, then he should do it himself. He grabbed the Infinity Gauntlet and took matters into his own hands.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Thanos and his Black Order, consisting of Corvus Glaive, Colobsidian, Proxima Midnight, and Ebony Maw, tracked down the ship that Thor and the Asgardians were on at the end of Thor Ragnarok. They were in Thanos' ship, the Sanctuary 2, which was gigantic compared to the ship that the Asgardians were in. I think it's safe to assume that he was looking to fulfill his promise to Loki, that he would force him to endure a new kind of suffering for failing to bring him the Tesseract in the event in the Avengers. Now, leading into Infinity War, he's after the stones and is looking to fulfill his plan to wipe out half the universe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's a quick recap of Thanos leading into Infinity War. We did a recap of the heroes as well, so make sure you check that out too. I'll link that in the description. You can follow me on social media. Links for that are also in the description. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for more great content.